All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
And this week we have a special guest. So we will introduce her in just a second. Mocktail of the week that we're doing. I'm doing another Bora, but I'm doing the peppermint watermelon this week. So I like it. Pretty good. Brianna, how about you?
I'm doing another Greenbelt Kombucha. Last time I had the grapefruit, really liked it. This week I was trying to manifest like fall. So I got like the elderberry sangria. It's pretty good. I like the grapefruit better. And also it's like 106 here. So,
Well, I'm not ready for you to manifest fall because that means like 40 to 30 degrees for me. I like 100-degree weather.
yeah, no, here in Texas, fall is like 80, 75.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I like it. But yeah,
It's
we
fine.
can wait on fall though. Yeah, so today we have a special guest. Her name is Allison. Allison, do you want to like introduce yourself, maybe share a mocktail, like just tell us who you are?
My name is Allison. Really excited to be here with you ladies. I am a holistic health practitioner, and with that, a personal trainer, holistic nutritionist, and in functional medicine doing health coaching. And I have my own business. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. I have a daughter who is just a little over 1. And I drink water all day long. I know that's not super exciting. And I was just telling the ladies I've got tea floating around the house somewhere because I'll drink it and then set it down and then get distracted by baby and all that good stuff. So like I'll do a iced tea, unsweetened tea. The one I have is passion fruit. So that's typically what I drink. So yeah, excited to be here to talk everything about health and wellness, but I know specifically fitness because a lot of the focus that women, want to be healthy, they want to learn how to eat right, but then where does the exercise component of a healthy lifestyle weave into that? And that's how I actually got started in the whole field, is starting I think I was 19 as a personal trainer, and I'm 36 now. So I've been doing it since then, love it. And then I realized that there's so much more to health and wellness and results than just what you do, let's say, in the gym or fitness in general. So expanding from that and really helping women just look, feel, and function at their best. Because it's not just how you look, it's how you feel. Are you actually, the kicker is like sustainably and enjoying the process and the routine.
Yeah.
So it's not a diet trying to break through of that, but are you enjoying your meals? Are they nourishing? Do you like your workouts? How do you feel from this? And just kind of making sure it's a whole new lifestyle, essentially. So that's my goal for everyone.
Like the whole package. And I think fitness is so important because like for women, I feel like from a young age, we were taught like, this is what you have to do to be thin, and movement is a punishment. And I can't tell you how many clients are like, am I even working out correctly? Like, what do I do? And they either hate it or they have anxiety around it, or they feel so lost. So this is such an important thing to really teach women about. Like,
I think just as much as there's a diet culture, there's I want to say fitness culture, but a lot of women can have, and men can have, a disordered relationship in how they view movement, exercise, physical activity. Definitely needs to be talked about more, and so that women can feel educated and empowered to enjoy how they move their body and just feel confident in knowing what they're doing is beneficial too, and obviously safe.
It's important too, just to talk about even the types of movement, because kind of that fitness culture where sometimes we're told to do all cardio. Sometimes it's like, no, you need to go to the gym. Sometimes it's like, okay, let's do a bunch of Zumba classes, and there are different benefits to each one of them. And I think they can all have their place as well. But then it's also hard to understand, okay, which is going to be the best for me? Which is going to move the needle? Which do I actually enjoy? And I think that's where strength training can kind of get a little fishy, because in my experience, not a lot of women love strength training because we have this idea that we're going to get huge and bulky like bodybuilders, when that's not necessarily the case. Or we've just been told that we're supposed to do cardio all the time if we want to burn fat. So then we're just running all the time. We don't even enjoy it, and we're not building that muscle. So I think today we were going to kind of focus on the strength training piece of things.
And that definitely plays into like what I was going to say. I'm glad that we have a female on here talking about it. Not that I am like, oh, man hater, but I feel like it's fitness world, especially with strength training, it's just so like males are predominantly like who are in that role. And I think, you know, again, no hate to males, but women should not be following the fitness advice of guys. Like, you're a female. Let's go to a female that knows you, knows like your body, knows what's going on, and can give you that advice. Because I can't tell you how many clients I've had that are following bodybuilder plans. And I'm like, well, do you want to be a bodybuilder? I mean, if you do, awesome. But that's usually not the goal, you know?
Exactly. And taking it to the next level too, as a man, I mean, their hormone cycle, it's the same 24-hour cycle, right? They don't really change. And so women, every day is slightly different. So how you eat and how you move should be tweaked a little bit based on your hormone profile at that time of the month. So a lot of women, let's say around PMS, or like their week before their period starts, they have more fatigue, they have cravings, right? They might come to you and say, oh, I really want like carbs, right? And they might just feel like they don't have a lot of energy for their workout. So being able to look at when we're creating a plan, understanding that certain times of the month to go a little just different perspective or different focus. So maybe lighter intensity in some areas, being able to focus a little bit more on recovery than trying to hit it super hard that week right before your period. So just understanding that plays a role into how you structure your routine as well, or can.
So do you work on cycle syncing with any of your clients?
To some degree. It's every client is obviously so unique, and it's obviously they're based on their goals, but understanding of where they're at will tailor down maybe some of the weight and maybe not try to lift heavier that week or change up the duration or something, because it's good to continue to move, but it's the level of intensity and duration is kind of what we end up changing. And going into kind of when we say strength training or workouts in general, the kind of the first thing when a client says or somebody says, what's the best, like, how do I create a routine, right? And I start with asking, what have you tried before? What do you like? Do you know anything that you enjoy? So we start there, and then we build on top of that. But every kind of routine should have the foundation of general movement. So physical activity, and understanding that's different than exercise. So most women focus on just getting like, I need to get to the gym or I need to work out. Well, are you sitting all day long? Are you standing? Are you moving? What are you doing? Because that's actually going to drive your results and your physiology more than just the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
The exercise is big, but it's how you move all day long. So I would never suggest anyone to just start exercising if they aren't even walking, right? You need to be able to move all day long, and then we can build up the endurance that way. An understanding of somebody's tendency is to like cardio or cardio-based activities. By all means, we want to keep that in. But as women, we have less muscle mass than men, and we are losing muscle mass as we age. Most women think muscle mass like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But that's what drives our metabolism, and that's essentially what drives how we actually look in clothes. Because you could be the same weight but have different body composition and look completely different. So when women say, I want to tone and I want to lose weight, it's really about losing body fat. It's having the cardiovascular component in there because it's good for our health, right? It's good for endorphins and movement, and it's very heart protective and actually really good for your brain too. But also where does strength training come in? That's going to create the shape that you want, essentially. And strength training can be, I almost like using the word resistance training, because sometimes it's not always about weight. I mean, have you tried a body weight workout before? Like, that stuff is hard. Like dips, pull-ups, push-ups, like that's not necessarily using weight, but that's resistance training. So challenging your muscles and pushing them to at least to grow, maintain, so you don't end up losing that muscle mass over time. And I always say we can start with some body weight exercises or bands if it means using some actual weights or machines at, like, let's say a gym, but also the other aspects of not classes, but using like a kind of a circuit to be able to create that, incorporate some of the resistance training in there as well. Because some women don't want to go to a gym, but they'll work out with somebody, or they'll do a DVD, or they'll go to a class that incorporates music and it's fun and I'm working out, but it doesn't feel like I'm going to the gym. Like, and so sometimes it's just like creating this new definition of what movement actually can be for you and exercise.
So you started to share this a little bit, but do you want to go over, just so we cover all the pieces of the importance of getting the strength training in?
Yeah. So definitely, like I said, the maintaining the muscle mass you have, if not building it as we age, that's when we're losing it. But it's also going to really support your joint health and your bone health. I mean, kind of like very underrated, like we don't really think about that, but it's supporting your structure essentially. And if you can't, it supports daily activities. So if you can't, like pick up the laundry basket without your back being pulled, or like picking up your kids or moving in a different way, daily functional activities, then having the muscle mass will help essentially do those things better, and you feel confident when doing them. It will again support your metabolism, so when you are trying to lose body fat, you are at a higher resting calorie expenditure. So it's not all about losing body fat and losing weight, but it's a big goal for women, is feeling good in their body. So it just goes hand in hand to incorporate it into the routine. I have women who do cardio, they walk, and that's great, but that's not enough to really move the needle. So it's something, it's definitely celebrating the win, but we need to push ourselves mentally and physically to see the changes that we want.
I'm glad you brought up like normal day-to-day tasks. Like, can you pick up the laundry basket? Can you do this? Because this is like something I tell clients, like, it's okay to do certain things for aesthetics, right? Like, we would all be lying if we're like, oh, we don't do that. But, instead of training just for like, what do I want to look like in 6 weeks? Like, training to be, with the mindset of, how do I want to feel in 60 years? Or how do I want to feel when I'm 60? Like, do I want to be able to live independently? Do I want to be able to like still move around and not have those aches and pains? And like, especially for women, like osteoporosis and all the other things that women can like deal with as they age because of dieting, lack of muscle, hormone changes, all that. Like, really just setting your mind to like, what am I going to feel and look like and be able to do when, I'm 60, 70 years old? Cause that's like, I mean, my husband and I talk about it, like, that's the ultimate reason for fitness, right? Like, we want to have longevity. So yeah, I think like strength training really helps women with that. It doesn't just make you look like bulky or,
right. 100%. That's when I was 18, I was like, this is what I'm going to be, a grandma, and like still moving and feeling good. Because to me, the worst feeling is having to depend on somebody else, and or having to be like a burden for somebody, like them having to take care of me. Like, no, I want, as much as I can, age gracefully. And part of that is continuing to move my body. And a simple kind of way to look at it too is like, I move my body because I can, because you don't want to get to the point where you have to, then now you're trying to get it back. Like, let's say you've had an injury, or like you can't move very well, and people will tell you like it hurts, and then it's a vicious cycle. It hurts to move, so then you don't move, and then it's
harder to move.
So again, you start whatever age you're at, you start with where you're at, get moving, and then pick where you want to, or like the type of resistance training that sounds most doable to you to start with. And it can be in a gym, it doesn't have to be, but I think opening the definition of what exercise and movement looks like is really important, and using the right vocabulary. So it's not, again, oh, I went to the gym, I'm good, or I'm working out, I'm exercising because I want to burn off something. It's like, I exercise because I want to have X, Y, and Z. And then I eat this way because X, Y, and Z. So it's just creating that's making sure it doesn't fall into this weird, like, exercise, restrict, mentality or anything like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, we talk a lot about kind of just finding our intentions and our whys behind everything. So just like you're saying, it's not like we're just going to the gym to burn off our ice cream that we ate because we were bad last night or anything like that. It does not have to be anything like that. We can just go to the gym because we know we're going to feel really good. Maybe it gives us an energy boost for a day if we're working out in the morning. Maybe it helps our sleep if we're working out during the day. We get better sleep. It's also going to help that like blood sugar balancing because our muscles are a great place to store glucose. So different things like that. It has all these other benefits. And then it's like, oh yeah, now I really enjoy how my clothes are fitting. And we get to eventually see those body composition changes. And that's just like a bonus of it.
Exactly. Exercise is huge for mental health and emotional health and stress. And I think that's one, for me, that's one of the main reasons why I do it. And like for my own self-care and time is I want the time for my workout and movement. And you just feel better. And I think, but you don't feel that until you get started. And then you feel those endorphins because that's what exercise does. It releases those good feel good neurotransmitters. And like you said, sleep, glucose, metabolic functions. And so then mental, emotional health, and like you said, the sense of accomplishment, I think, is so underrated, especially when it's something hard and it's new and you push yourself and you're like, I did that. And you get outside your comfort zone a little bit. So you're like, you want that feeling of, yeah, that was hard and I did it, right? Especially if it's going into like a class or a gym setting or with a trainer and you're like, okay, this is really scary, but the benefits are going to outweigh how I feel right now. So just kind of, I say don't think, just do a lot. In terms of, we can overthink it and talk ourselves out of whatever. Don't think about it. Just, you know what to do. Just do it. Just put it in your calendar. You schedule it out and you just execute.
Any additional advice for people who have lots of anxiety with just getting a gym routine started, whether it's going to the gym or working out at home? I know I was just talking to someone this week and she's like, I would really love to work out, but I have no idea what to even do to do it at home. She's like, and I am so nervous to go to the gym, so I just don't do it. So, and kind of what you're saying here, like, don't overthink it, just go and do it. But sometimes it's hard. Like, we have these mental blocks. So it's like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to look like a doofus. So like any advice to get past that?
So let's start with, let's say in general, starting a workout, and then if it's at a gym. So if you don't know what to do for sure, if you like don't think, just do, well, I don't even know what to do, right? That question. I would start with reaching out if you can to a professional, whether it is like in your area or virtually, if that's someone that you can connect with, or if you have a friend or family member that you do really trust that knows a little bit more than you do, that can help guide you of how to create that routine of the cardio, the resistance training, obviously rest, recovery, flexibility is in there as well, mobility. But starting with, how many days a week? Is it 2 days a week, 3 days a week? Also looking at your schedule in terms of what's realistic, right? If you aren't doing anything, you're not going to aim for 5 days a week. And if you work crazy hours and you're a parent too, then like what can you feasibly commit to at least for a month? And then you start there. And you always say like, make it so easy. Make it where it's like, oh, I can definitely do that, instead of setting the bar too high. Because what do we do as women? We set the bar way high with expectations, and we have to be like perfect at it yesterday.
Yeah, like already.
Yes. And then we beat ourselves up if that doesn't happen, or we like fail or whatever. Then it's like, I'll forget it. I'll just like not do it or whatever. So then it creates, again, that negative talk and relationship with movement, and then you're scared and it's just not good. So getting the support that you can feel empowered and educated is really important. And I don't just want to say go to YouTube, but like there are a lot of free resources out there that with videos and descriptions of how to set up a routine if you like just need the basics. As far as for going to the gym, I say kind of the 3 top things to do would be, well, there's more, but a couple of things is number 1, having a plan of when you're going to go. So you're going to, again, look at your schedule, and this is not sexy, it's not fun, right? But like I'm going to work out. And I ask my clients, okay, when? Okay, well, let's sit down together and figure out when are you going to do it and what are you going to do at this point, and okay, how can I support you or whatever. So then it's on the calendar, it's set, we're trying to remove as many barriers as possible to make this happen, right? Because the goal is to have it become a routine and not some like thing I have to check off the list and be inconsistent with. So creating a schedule that you can feasibly start with, and then you can kind of add on to that. And then part 2 is actually having a backup plan. And I say this again because we are perfectionists, and if we don't get that plan A, we tend to like completely write it off. I'm like, well, if I didn't go to the gym Tuesday, then I can't go the rest of the week. That just, so it's having kind of, I say, like this gold star goal of what you want to achieve, but then having the backup plan of like minimums. What are you going to do if you can't get that plan A done? So having the set days and times, but understanding life happens and having flexibility in there. And there's many times where like my workout's broken into like 4 different parts during the day, or you move like one day to the next or whatever, just because you have the intention to do it, but something comes up. That doesn't mean you can't do it at all. You just have to be creative of going, okay, it's still a priority. When and how can I get this done in a different way? And maybe that's split up, and maybe that's a shorter amount, right? Maybe you go for a run for 15 minutes instead of 30, but at least it's something, right? You didn't not do it at all. So it's telling your brain and body that like it's still good to do it, and it's not having that all or nothing mentality. We struggle.
I think that kills women, especially because as we get older, we're busy. Like we're working, we have busy schedules, we have kids, and it's like we like everything to be a certain way. And so we like to be like, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week for an hour. And like, this is going to be my routine. It's going to be great. And then life comes up, and it's like, well, I can't go Wednesday, and it's like, well, then the whole week's ruined. Or it's like you get to the gym and you were supposed to have an hour, but now you only have 20 minutes. And it's like, well, I might as well not even do it. When in reality, if you were just to make it happen in that small window of time and be as consistent as possible, it all adds up. And it's like really us standing in our own way of being like, it needs to be perfect. And then that stops us from doing anything because like 80% of the time, it's not going to be perfect. So it's like, how do you like ebb and flow?
100%. I have so many clients that they'll meet, whether I work with clients virtually, but then the in-person training as well currently. So both will tell me that if they're coming in to do their own workouts, they're like, what's going to be available? Like, can I get on everything? Can I do the workout that she wrote out for me? Like, there's this pressure that they put on themselves. And so I have different routines in there that are shorter, that don't take a lot of equipment. Let's say you walk in and you're like, okay, it's 5:00 on a Monday. Like everything's taken, like, great. What am I going to do? Right. And so as a trainer, I'm like, oh, just go over here. Like, I know this on the back of my hand. Right. But somebody that's new, they're like, I don't know what to substitute. Right. Like what help. And so having that backup plan of like, okay, I know that like I can go over here, grab a pair of weights and do my 15-minute circuit. And whether this is at the gym or at the house, right, or wherever you want, and just get it done and just circuit through. And that's what I usually like to tell women. If they're short on time, if the gym's really busy, you just pick a circuit of like maybe 4 or 5 exercises and you just run through like as many rounds as you can, or just that like 5 sets of 10 or something where it's very short and sweet and it's doable, so you don't have to like move a whole bunch of equipment and get a lot of stuff out. and you're still moving. It's just setting the new definition that like a workout can still be effective if it's 17 minutes long. Like it doesn't have to be an hour from this to this. It's such a mind game to break out of that cycle, and like myself included, because this is what I want to do, and then when it doesn't happen and you're like, what do I, it's so hard to not say why bother. And you have to like pause, like you said, and say, be really intentional. I'm not going to waste any more time worrying about time I don't have. Let's do this right. Yeah, like let's just do it right now and make the most out of it.
Yep.
How long are your workouts for yourself? How long do you typically work out? I'm always curious.
Total between maybe like hour and 15, just depends on the day. I do mix of cardio and like resistance training, strength training. Half of my workouts are at the house in our basement, and then half are at the gym. So,
okay.
So we wake up, my husband, like our schedule now is, we both used to go together in the morning, and then I had our daughter, and I was like, well, we can't really do that. So it's just like pivoting. And so we have a home gym. So we both get up at the same time, 5:30, and he goes to the gym and I go down to the basement and work out. So that's like my time. And of course, stuff happens, and like she'll wake up or whatever, and it gets interrupted. So you make it work. You're creative with your time, but that is when I prefer to do that and like get it. I don't say get it done, but like then I shift into this other role of work and mom during the day, and I know I've taken care of myself. It just, you feel so much better that you have designated that time for yourself.
Brianna, how long are your workouts usually?
Oh man, I would say at least 30 minutes. So I try to do 30 minutes to 45 minutes of strength training, and then my walks are always separate. Like I like to walk. I don't like running, but I walk or I hike, and that's always like separate, and that's something I try to get every day as well. But that was a big change for me, because working out was something I really loved to do, and before I had kids it would be like an hour, and I always had that time to myself. And then I had my first son, and it was like he hated the gym daycare. We didn't have like anything at home, and it was like, oh, I would like be lucky if I got like 30 minutes. And so for a really long time I was just like, well, I'm not going to work out. But then I was like not really liking how I felt, not really having that mean time. So I had to pivot and make like 30 minutes work. And now I feel like I've gotten really efficient at it. But now it just depends, because now I'm in a time in my life where all my kids now are in school. So it's like I can take that hour if I want. So I would say 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour if I mix everything together. It's very rare, because I don't schedule my time very well.
But the point is, does it still happen? Like,
yeah, it still happens. Yeah. And I will say that's something I tell clients is like, man, look at your schedule. If you can only do one 20-minute workout a week to start, do it. One 20-minute workout a week is better than nothing. And then you can build on that habit. Because like as women, we want to take our ultimate goal and be like, this is where I'm starting. I want to be someone that works out 45 days a week. So I'm going to start doing that. And it's like, that is such a shock. You're not going to be able to do it. You're going to burn out. You're probably going to be sore. You're going to give up. You're going to be exhausted. And then you're going to be starting from ground zero again.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Bailey? How long are yours?
Mine are usually, I would say for strength training, about 25 to 30 minutes. I'm really bad about resting between. I just go to the next one. So I'm working on slowing down that. But yeah, I would say on average about 30 minutes for strength training. And then I walk for 10 to 15 minutes every morning. And then I go on a walk after work as well. And then I use my walking pad during work.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Yeah, it's the only way I get in. I've actually been getting up to 10,000 steps, which was very rare for me. I used to be like 2,000 to 3,000 a day, and I finally got up to like 6, and then I was working to 8, and now I can usually get in 10 if I'm using my walking pad.
Yeah, this goes back to what Allison was saying about like, you can't just be sedentary for the majority of the day. And I think so many people, when they get into a good workout routine, like we feel good. We're like, oh, we did it. I did my workout. Yes, I nailed it. I'm doing, 3 to 4 a week. Awesome. And then the other 23 hours of the day, you're sitting and you're working and you're not doing much. And so I'm like, let's be mindful of your sedentary time. How can we like break that up? Because that makes a huge difference. And obviously not everybody can have a walking pad or whatever, but there's definitely ways to incorporate movement and breaking up that sedentary time during your day. And that's going to make a big difference.
I feel so much better when I just stand more. And I use, like, I'm using my standing desk, my standing riser right now, not even a desk. And because, fun fact, 90% of the blood flow to the brain is derived from and the oxygen derived from the movement of the spine. So when you start to get that afternoon slump, it's usually because when you are sitting too much, right? And like, yes, there's other factors in there too. But the more you sit, the more tired you get and the more stiff you get. And then you just don't feel good. And then, like we said, we don't want to move. So we want to get out of that cycle. So simple things of just standing more. A lot of my clients will use timers to, remind them to get up and move. I mean, yeah, you have your activity trackers that can kind of like, you can set a goal, like you said, of a parameter to stay accountable to that. But it's definitely possible. But in today's culture here in the US, you have to be intentional with the movement. So that is, yes, going for walks. We have stairs, so like I'll take multiple trips up and down the stairs to get something or whatever. I mean, it all adds up. And it's not always about, again, I have to hit my 10K or whatever. Like, we don't want to get too wrapped up in that, but it keeps us accountable to like, well, how much are you moving? And just get up and move because it feels good, right? And then use those other parameters to like check in with yourself of like, okay, where am I in the movement amount? And then from there.
It also helps you be more productive.
Yes, it really does. Like, I feel like my brain functions so much better if I'm standing more, if I'm walking, because like once we're just sitting here forever, like you said, we lose focus and then we have that slump, and then it's like the whole day just goes downhill and we're just watching the clock for an hour or two before we get to go home. And you brought up a good point about just like being intentional about it, because there are so many jobs now that are sedentary at a desk. It's not like where it used to be where it was more manual labor. We have lots of sitting jobs now, and that's how it is. So I think investing in something where you can stand up, it doesn't have to be a full standing up desk. It can be the riser, like you said. It can be even just taking a step away from work for 30 seconds each hour and just like walking in a circle, doing some squats, anything, so you're not just sitting there the whole time. And it really does make a difference. So yes, being intentional about it and kind of planning it out too. My clients that are really just super good about the neat movement during the day, kind of getting their steps in, they're usually nurses. Other than that, a lot of us are not moving enough during the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and it's not even work. It's like I went inside the grocery store the other day. First of all, I have 3 kids. So like grocery pickup is my jam. Okay. Like it's something I do for me like in a day. Yeah. But I actually went into the store the other day and I was like, wow, this is a lot of walking. Like even things like that. I'm like, wow, like I don't remember the last time I like walked around the store, but like this is like a lot of movement right now, as opposed to like get in my car, go do my pickup, go through the drive through coffee, like everything at school pickup is drive through, like everything. We're just like sitting a lot, like we're busy, but we're not moving, and it's like just being a little bit more mindful of that. And like I told clients, like make it fun, like, because if you do hit that afternoon slump, and then you are really tired, you're probably not going to go do your workout. And like, it's just going to be this vicious cycle. Like set a timer for 20 minutes and see how much you can clean up around your house in like 20 minutes. Like feels good. You're getting movement in, and then you're going to thank yourself later when like things are a little less messy, just like things like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, which I know is the roadblock for so many women.
Yeah.
I love a good rage clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about feeling productive and like getting on that good momentum. Yeah. There's so many times where if I'm sitting and I'm like, I could fall asleep right now. And I'm like, nope, just get up, because I know I'm going to feel better. And I always say, if I get up and I'm like, wow, I really am still tired, then like, for sure, listen to your body. But so many times it's just that instant feeling of, right? Because then I think, well, what have I been doing? I've just been sitting here whatever the circumstances are. I like how you said, like, the grocery store and like random stuff. And it got me thinking, like, how if you've got kids, how you can incorporate like that into it as well. And it's really good for them to see you move and make that a priority. And whether it's, I don't want to say going for a walk, because that can always be interesting with kids, right? But just getting out, like playing more, I think is just, and having fun. I know that sounds weird, but like whether you have kids or not, play in terms of with your kids, but like if you're in an area where you have like recreational sports, or you like volleyball or something that you can go out with your friends, or like golf or something that's not just sitting inside, or like, oh, let's grab a bite to eat. Like, let's try to be even weaving that activity or fitness into hobbies and social events too is another option.
Okay. Well, I think this was really good and helpful. I think a lot of women especially. This is for the men too, but yes, the women especially will really enjoy this. Allison, any last words of advice or last tidbit on, I would say, I guess, for the person who is thinking about getting started with strength training?
So just kind of to recap, I would say we want to start with your goals. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? And then we can create your routine around that, and focusing on, again, the right vocabulary, the reasons why you're doing it, and all the benefits that you hopefully will experience, but going forth with the intention of matching it with the reasons why your goals, right? So the strength training, to create the plan of starting with the frequency during the week, the duration, all of that based on your current routine and lifestyle, but then your background and health history and all of that to consider. And creating a plan where it's hitting, we didn't talk about this, but hitting the largest muscle groups. So that's one, I guess, tidbit to add. So most women, they might focus on like bicep curls or triceps or something that's a smaller muscle, and you're going to get more bang for your buck if you target your legs, your glutes, your chest, and your back, because that already will work the arms and shoulders. So if you're short on time, do combo movements and large movements like a squat or a lunge, a deadlift, a chest press, push, row. Those are going to be your foundational movements. And then you can add on like the arms and kind of what we call accessory movements on top of that. And you mentioned it before, Bailey, like I don't take a lot of time in between rest. That could be okay if you're supersetting. So that could be, let's say I'm combining a push-up going into a squat, and then
don't do that.
Yes, and then resting, let's say about 30 seconds or 45, and then repeating, right? And like if you time it, that's it's not very long. Like 30 seconds goes by fast, but that's a way to help streamline the time. So women aren't just doing one exercise and sitting there. No, like I got stuff to do. Like, so it doesn't need to be high intensity circuits, but it can be 2 or maybe even 3 exercises that are kind of opposing. So you can, when one muscle is working, the other one's resting, and then grab a sip of water and then hit it again. So that's a good tactic I like to use personally, but then also with clients too, to help just be more efficient with your time.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
Yeah, I'll switch it up. We'll try it.
Yeah. It was like, and go.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, no, I'm all about trying to maximize time, but you do need to like breathe in there as well.
Yeah.
I'm not great about breathing, so we're working on it.
Yeah.
I take 5 deep breaths in my car now after work, so progress.
Little things, small, but it does add up, and you're like, hey, I did it.
Yeah. You know. And like, I feel so much better after breathing 5 times.
Oh, isn't it weird? Like, breathing can do for me. It's true though.
Yeah.
Yeah. we shallow breathe all the time. But that's like another story. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother episode.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Allison, so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I know listeners are going to love this episode. We will put in your Instagram information and everything in the show notes so people know where to find you. But really quickly, do you want to just share your Instagram handle so if people don't read,
Sure.
they know this?
Wellness with Allie,Ally.
Perfect. Awesome.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, yes, thank you again for hopping on the podcast with us. And we will see everyone. I always mess that outro up. We will talk to everyone next week.
Yeah, we're going to see. I wish I would.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.